welcome everyone to this live. And this time I will talk to you about components because believe me, this is one of the coolest, if we're talking about Jira functionality, one of the actually coolest element. And I will show you also what is the difference between custom fields and components. So hopefully by the end of this training, you will be able to set your very own component and maybe have some experimentation because there is a, let's say, not too much difference between them. I'm just going to show you, we'll share a screen in a second. We will go into my slideshows. Got on like just 2 slideshows from my training course, which you're going to see. And I would like to show you how to use this in a proper way. Okay, so very quickly, I will share a screen with you. There you go. Let's do it. Share. Okay, so this is actually, by the way, is from my training course. We'll talk about the Jira structure for a second, and next one, of course, I will show you how to do it in a practice how to do it in a real life. So if we're talking about the Jira hierarchy, so always, let me see only the, I forgot actually to, yes, I'm sharing, but I forgot to add it like this or like that. Let's leave it like this. Something is looking like this. I just keep forgetting about this. Okay, so I hope you actually see the. Yeah, you must. You see my slideshow right now. So I've got only like 2 slides, 3. So if we're talking about the hierarchy, so why actually I'm going to show you this because it's important to understand the hierarchy in Jira. So what I'm talking about the project. So it's very important to understand, of course, that in Jira we only have one project, well, many projects, but there is no such thing. We're going to close this. There's no such thing in Jira as basically sub projects. That's very, very, very important. Yeah. So on top of it, we've got like over here, Jira, Agile, Cloud, Server. It doesn't really matter, by the way. If it's Cloud, no problem. If it's Server, Data Center, the structure is absolutely the same. Yeah. And underneath, of course, we've got projects. So projects are like the most important building block of our Jira. And what I said before, there's in Jira no hierarchy regarding projects. Yes, we can like group them into, let's say, categories, but there is no such thing as sub project. So that's why we've got Jira structure, Jira cloud or server. We've got project, which is Kanban, Scrum, service desk, non-services, next gen or how do you call it, team manage, and we've got stories, and of course that stories got a subtask with that, but that's not all about this time. And yes, we can actually go into like this, let's say 3 levels. But why I'm actually showing you this, and of course my neighbor is doing today renovation, so I'm not actually if it's actually a point to do this live today because it is a little noisy. So I'm gonna try, but you can hear some noise in the background. So what I'm talking about, why actually components? Because components in some cases it could be treated as sub project, but component is not a sub project. So what is a component? Yes, in some cases it could be sub-project, but mainly it's a tag. However, with a special property. What's that special property? You can have a default component assignee, and you can have a different component lead. What does it mean? So it's like, in a simple word, if we're talking about the real life examples, there is like, I'm going to tell you from my experience, very often if we use, for instance, we develop a project which is, I don't know, an app. So we've got backend and the front end, yeah. And if there is one big project, or backend front end, it could be more, of course, that selection of backend and front end in a one big project use component works very, 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 very well. And I'm going to show you how to do it. I'll be using Jira Cloud. So please, of course, replicate all my steps and compare it to custom fields. Custom fields in Jira is basically that extra special field. So of course, could be different properties, could be a select list, could be a radio button. In components, no, there's only one type of component. So we cannot have like 2 or 3 type of components. Yeah, that's very, very important. And why I will be using components instead of custom fields? It's because, example, if I would like to have like a smaller piece of the project, and maybe that little piece could its own lead. So using components, it's like kind of impossible because maybe you can just like have maybe 2-3 components, and of course you can configure it, but like why? Why if you already have got Jira components? Okay, so I'm going to show you. So by the way, I believe that the historically was like component was attached to Scrum and Kanban, which is the other. But at the moment, I don't believe it. I believe you can actually use components for any type of project. But the next gen, which is the team manage, I don't really know if there is probably there is no components in there, but we don't care because we're not going to talk about this. So please, if you're actually using Jira Cloud, needs to be like me, that classic one. So when you create a project, I'm going to show you just very quickly. When you create a project, you go for the software development. Like let's say you want to go like me, Kanban, and you use that template. Make sure it is expert. Well, it's actually company managed, so it's not team managed, because team managed they used to call next gen, because I don't believe there are components. But anyway, let's close this. And now, how to get to component? Of course, there is a simple process. You go to the left-hand side on the menu from the left-hand side, and you're going to start configuring them. And of course, later I will show you how to utilize these components even better. So what does it mean better? I'm going to show you how to create a very simple separate board based on the components. So you need a little bit JQL, which of course I'm gonna give you that. So how to do it? Left-hand side, components, create components, and as I told you before, we will use two backend and frontend. Front-end and description. You can actually put something to put description. And as I told you before, component lead. I don't really need at the moment, but if you want to do it, absolutely no problem. But that doesn't need to be actually filled. And default assign, that's also very, very cool, because if you want, for instance, default component lead, which is going to be me on top of it, no problem. But if someone else, of course, you can do it. But I'm going to go for unassigned because I like when the tickets are unassigned. And you go for backend as well. All right. So I hope the spelling is okay. And component lead, again, doesn't need to be. And again, I'll go for unassigned. So we go save it. Okay, so we got those two components. What we can do with them right now. Oh, and by the way, what is also the biggest advantage, like another advantage of using components compared to custom fields, it is that you do not need to be system or Jira administrator to add custom fields. Because unfortunately, if you would like to add custom fields into Jira permissions, I believe you need to be at least a Jira administrator, then you like system administrator. But in component, no, actually project administrator can do it. All right, so now we've got those two components. By the way, please replicate my steps, of course, if you like it. And if you go to backlog, there are two ways how you can utilize them. So first of all, of course, when you create a new ticket. So when you go to story, my new story, and by the way, it's just story. It doesn't matter which issue type. And of course, if the components are enabled, because show fields are selected to all, you can select them from that drop down. And what is interesting, yes, you can have two components at once if you want that. And if you're a project administrator like me, you can actually start typing, and I think before it was no problem. You could add them from here. I don't know if they removed it, but anyway, now if you want like to adjust them or add another one, you go to the left hand side of components. Okay, and now when you create, of course, we can actually create a ticket, no problem. There you go. And if we open our, as I call it, the mini editor, that component will be located, of course, with the details section. Great. But what about existing tickets? Of course, no problem whatsoever, because you're going to highlight existing ticket, navigate to the right-hand side, and there's sometimes they're like a little bit missing. So I think you need to open like more details or something like this. Let me see. That's why I'm not kind of big fan of of the cloud because they keep messing with this. Let's see where they are. I'm sure they are somewhere. Oh, like more. You have to probably like go for more. Still here? Yeah, they are. Okay. And of course, from here you can still select backend and frontend. And what they've added, I think they've added like kind of probably a few years ago, so you can actually utilize existing components from Jira, because maybe you will be utilizing, maybe you want to utilize that component from other projects. So you don't have to like every single time create backend frontend for 20 projects. So you can utilize existing. Yeah, but again, okay, I'm gonna do it like this and go for another one. Yeah. So again, you go for more fields. Come on, scroll it down, components, and we go for frontend. Yeah, why? I just want to show you the difference. So don't worry, I'm not going to do it for every single one. And let's, come on, show me more components, frontend. Yep, that's it. Okay, cool. We don't need that. Okay, so now if you would like to see how many tickets belong to frontend and backend, again, it's really simple because you navigate to the left-hand side of Jira and there will be actually a list of them. And you're going to see, for instance, there are 2, there are 3. But there is more interesting stuff because, I can tell you how I use this. It's definitely going to be in my report. So, of course, if you click on this, those 2 issues, you will see that Jira is created actually for you GQL. So you can actually then save it. Very simple. So project, MNK, whatever, just a key, and the component is frontend. And at the moment, we've got, of course, 2. So very cool stuff. But let's go further. Yeah. So of course, now I'm not gonna move because they can belong to any place, so you can move them to the board. There is a way to, of course, add them into. So there's some problem, I think. Why they don't want to go? Probably because let's see why this ticket is not possible to move into my selected development. Let's see. Workflows. Actually, probably I know why, because it's messed up. What we have? Oh, we do not have actually any status for this. I believe that is actually my very problematic workflow. Okay, never mind. Never mind. I can tell you why, because I've been experimenting with this. So what is sample? Let's see this. Oh, this one. Anyway, so again, we go for create component name. So we go for backend. No, and we go for unassigned, save, create another one, frontend, unassigned. There you go. We go to board. Yep, there you go. And now there's actually, this one's going to definitely work. So we go for more components, frontend. Don't have to save it. We open this one. There you go. Components, backend. One more. Okay, components, backend. Okay, that looks good. So if we navigate, come on, let's go back to components. So we've got 1 and 2. That's fine. This is just for the presentation purpose. Doesn't really matter too much because I would like to show you what to do else. If we go back to the Kanban board, so first step is, so how do I know which component, which actually issue belongs to which component? Because on the board, by default, of course, it is not going to display it. So very simple process. We need to navigate to the board settings. Go to board settings, and from the board settings, we'll navigate, of course, to the card layout. Yeah, and from here, we'll go for components. There you go. And you can add up to three additional card like informations. So component will be one of them. So let's see what is going to happen now. So let's go back to board. And as you can see, actually, they start appearing. So that this one's front end, this one's back end, this one's not. Okay, what else we can, very interesting, do with components? Of course, create a quick filter. Definitely, this is always what I do. So I'll go for the board. We go for quick filters. And I'm gonna call it Frontend. So what? Already losing voice. And we will actually, if you do not copy that JQL, no problem, because it is very simple. Command to go component equals, of course, from front end. Yeah, there you go. And we go add. And of course, now the same role is going to be for backend, but I'm not going to do it. So let's go back. And of course, I can enable front end. Yeah, so if your backend is enabled, of course, that will be filter them out. But what else? Let's go a little bit further to that. And I would like to have a separate board for my backend. Let's do backend this time, because we've got actually, I think, 2 or 3 backend tickets. Because I can tell you something. So I'll probably use a combination between quick filters, even a swim lane. Swim lane, by the way, that's the swim lane over here. And if there is actually projects that are building up, it's growing, very often I recommend to have a separate board. And I'm going to tell you something. If you do not use, if you do not explore that functionality in Jira, so that means you can have, more than one Kanban or Scrum board, you should try it right now, because it is very powerful actually feature. And please remember that the board in Jira, it is just a filter. It's just a representation of the filter. Okay, so let's get to it. I'm going to show you how to do it really, really quick. Let me see. Any questions we have? No, we don't. That's okay. We don't really care if there's no questions. Maybe you can ask me later. So by the way, if you've got, of course, any questions, let me know in the comments, or let me know on my Facebook group or on my Luma. All right, so let's actually create very quickly a Kanban board, which is dedicated to the backend component. Okay, so what we have to do, we need to go to board settings, general, and well, maybe not like this. Maybe not like this. I'm not going to copy. I'm going to do it. Let's do a little bit more difficult. Why not? So, because yes, you can actually copy existing board and just realign. Let's realign settings. But let's little bit more difficult. So we go basically to Kanban, Kanban boards. Let's actually go back. And I believe have they moved this section functionality? No. So create board. There we go. So we go for Kanban. You could be, of course, Scrum. Create Kanban board for existing projects, and of course, how are we going to call it? Backend Kanban. What was this? SKP. That's just a key. Yeah. But we do new projects. We don't really want projects. So hold on. It's for existing one, of course, board name. So it's a backend Kanban SKP. All right, project SKP. There you go. Location is going to be, of course, attached to the same project. Create board. There you go. We have board created, and right now you will be able to switch between those two boards from that top menu. There we go. That's how you're going to do it. So now, okay, that's fine. So let's see if we actually need to, first of all, map the columns. Yeah. Select for development. So there's no such thing as select for development. However, I would like to maybe move backlog to my backlog and select for development, rename it. Yeah. So from here will be select for development. Yeah, there you go. It looks really good. Okay, so we've got backlog in my Kanban. We've got three, we've got 3 actually columns. So now let's realign. Let's actually adjust a filter. So let's see if we navigate to the filters, project SKP, that is fine. Order, we have to keep it. So I'm going to give you my tip. I always like copy this. You're not going to see this, but I will basically copy into my notepad. So just in case, just in case. Why? The adjustment is very, very simple, but sometimes Jira is like basically strip down the GQL. So I say end, must be of course end component, was what we say backend. Yeah, backend. There you go. So I think it should be like space and order by still green. Let's see if that works. Works. Search works of course. Because we've got 2, and it's order by rank. Okay. So last thing, we have to save it. So we saved, and now we can actually go back. Click a few times. Go back. There we go. And let's see how our board it looks like. It's probably not going to be too much. So let's actually go back to backlog, and we need to move for development, of course, from the backlog. So let's see the board. And of course, we've got only 2 issues. So if I want to switch back to my main board, of course, I'm going to do it like this. Yeah. So now you know how to how to actually create, because we haven't actually moved anything, how to create a separate board, how to create components. What is the difference between components and the custom fields? Because by the way, custom fields. So if you do not know about the custom fields, if we edit them, so like for instance, priority. Yeah, priority is custom field. Yes. For example, Epic Link. Yeah, it is a custom. It's a system fields. However, if you would like to add that custom fields, you need to basically have permissions to do that, and they will be available from admin later. Of course, fill it out from this section. However, in components, it's a little different. Okay, let me see if how many minutes? Just like 20 minutes. So I'm gonna see if we've got questions. Let's see if maybe we've got questions. Oh, of course you can actually save. I'm gonna show my question from my Facebook users. Absolutely yes. So if you do not watch this from the beginning, you can always watch it on the Facebook group, and I'm gonna just leave it. Yeah, I'm gonna probably add this to the unit. And if you would like to add, if you actually not part of my Facebook group, I'm gonna also, if you're watching this from YouTube, I'm gonna post this into my YouTube. Yeah, I'm just asking you. I'm just looking if there are any more comments. Okay, that's gonna be it for the moment. One more word. If you're watching YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. If you're watching Facebook, please ask any questions, because I'm gonna do live twice a month, and I am on holiday very, very soon. But when I'm back from holiday, just one more thing, we will be doing again workshops. However, it's getting really busy right now, so I'm gonna post the details about the workshops, because I already got first workshop, first actually 2 weeks of August is already filled up, but for another one, it will be, of course, more details in the description section, or in more details in Facebook, probably in YouTube. Okay, thank you very much for today, and please subscribe. And I also want to encourage you, in the description, you're going to see link to my newsletter when I'm going to actually notify you about the next live sessions. Thank you very much, and see you next time. How to stop it?